Video diary number one. Um, Hopefully I won't be too nervous. I'm not too used to talking on camera, so we'll see how it goes. Um, Question one. Why do you think scale is one of the things we are discussing first? Uh, so in this one, I kind of wrote, I think scale is important to understand in terms of the project you want to do. Um, I think the book used fish as an example, relationship of fish as an example of scale. And I think when you're doing a project, you have to be mindful that the scale is probably much larger than you think. So if you're looking at these relationship between the fish, is it just the relationship between the fish? Is there other things inside this scale that you're looking at? Is there other outside influences that change the relationship of these fish that you're not looking into? So I think it's really important that you have to look at the entire scale of your project and see how much is involved in that before you start your project. That way you can understand better how to study whatever that is you're studying. And the second question, the question is, one of the main focuses of ecology is interactions. Can you give some example of interactions that might be worth of further ecological study? So one thing that I'm kind of interested in is stress and how stress can influence the environment and your own body and how your body grows and develops. In museum techniques, Dr. Ledbetter and I are trying to see if I can get this project that is studying asymmetry in relation to stress from the environment. So we have some lizards that were captured out on at the Winoka sand dunes, and they're in this jar in the museum, and they were captured, I believe, back in the 70s, he said. And so what I want to do back then, the Winoka Sand Dunes was not a ATV recreational park. Well, today it is an ATV recreational park. I'm not sure exactly when that started, but now that you have ATVs roaring around, you're scaring the wildlife constantly. These lizards live out on the sand dunes. So then my question is, are we going to see more asymmetry in their limbs and the way their eyes have developed and that sort of thing? Are we going to see more asymmetry due to the stress that's been introduced from the ATVs? So that's just one thing that I really think is kind of crucial, not only for the lizards, but once you start understanding the impact of stress and how it can change things, how it can be passed down through generations, how when you're young and if you're in a stressful environment, how that changes the development of your body. Yes, this is with small lizards, but it's something that I think can be used in a lot of other studies in regards to humans and other interactions that we face. And question number three, what about ecology interests you the most? Well, I think human interaction and what we do to animals is one thing that I find interesting. I find a lot of, so I think my passion, I'm slowly beginning to understand it, is kind of lying in endangered species, especially species that have been affected by humans and humans killing them off. One thing when I worked out at the Salt Flats, they're kind of known for the whooping cranes that come through in the fall during migration. And it's a big migratory break for them. They come in, they land at the plane to rest up, and then they move on to wherever they're going for winter or summer. Um, the whooping cranes were almost killed off because humans wanted big feathers in their hats, and so they started killing off the whooping cranes. And so when they finally took notice of the whooping cranes, there was only 16 of them left that they had found. It's not enough to rebuild a population, so they actually had to crossbreed them with sandhill cranes in order to rebuild this population. And I think that's so fascinating how they did it. They had to have these gloves that were painted a certain way so that they could feed the birds and it looked like the mother was feeding the babies. And then when they finally released them, I believe in Florida, in order to show them the migratory path, they had to use an ultralight. And they painted this ultralight to look like a whooping crane, and then they would lead the flock, show them where to land, and then where they had to take off again. So I think that sort of thing, just rebuilding these populations that humans have ruined, is just so cool and fascinating. And I just love the behaviors and how we can sometimes train those behaviors and how sometimes they are already there.